This fight scene isn't about violence, it's about who Reacher is. In under 2 minutes, the show convinces us that one man can dismantle an entire gang of dangerous criminals in a prison shower, and they do it through choreography, cinematography, direction, acting, sound design, all of which we're going to look at today. So let's get into it. Welcome to episode 2 of Frame by Frame, where we get to the very bones of what Reacher is. Today we're looking at that fight scene in the shower, but before we even get to that, we need to go back a bit. Because before we even get to that shower scene, we need to look at the fight scene in the jail cell. And I use the term fight scene very, very loosely because it's not really a fight, but it is a microcosm of what's to come. This scene in the jail cell tells us 3 things. Number 1, Reacher has no problem handling multiple opponents. Number 2, he also has no issue instigating the violence. And number 3, he likes to control the timing of it. The fight itself is explosive. Reacher is brutal. It is fast, it is quick, and it is effective. But it isn't flashy. There's no punches or Jean-Claude Van Damme kicks. It's a headbutt and 3 elbows. All of Reacher's body is a weapon. And most importantly, Reacher stays calm throughout. This isn't panic-induced. It's not high adrenaline. It's calm. Violence is 100% in his wheelhouse. He's used to it. And when he's finished with the guy, he takes the sunglasses and puts them on. And that is the cultural and cinematic definition of cool. The show is telling us about the character of Reacher, and before we even get to the shower scene, we already believe that he'll be able to do what he goes on to do in that scene. The show has set it all up for us. And then we get into the main event, and I'm going to talk about the music a little bit. It opens on a low, ominous note. It's immediately telling us that there's tension. The music is doing the job for us. It says there is danger looming, something is about to happen, so pay attention. And the cinematography adds to that ominous feeling. It's a low shot, it's low down, we're close to the ground, it's dollying left out of darkness and moving around a corner, which implies that there is danger coming in the future. Again emphasized by Reacher and Hubble coming around the corner, which is foreshadowing that danger. And then we finally get a wide shot, which is absolutely essential because it gives us the geography of the scene. And what is Reacher doing? He's scanning, he's looking for threats, angles, weapons. He's immediately assessing the situation, and he's still wearing the sunglasses because he's fully in control. And then we get 2 really nice moments of direction and cinematography. So we see a shot of Hubble looking small, his body language looks weak, he looks very defensive. And then that's followed by a 5 shot, a mid shot of the antagonists. It's a very crowded frame. So we've just seen Hubble looking pathetic. We see the antagonists, and that basically tells us, it's great storytelling. It tells us it's essentially 5-on-1 in this scene. Hubble's going to be no use, so Reacher has to deal with it on his own. And then the leader of the gang signals to the other people in the shower that they need to leave. No one questions it. It all happens immediately. Now, why does that happen? It happens to show us that these guys that have just come in have done this before. Everyone else in the shower knows that this is what's going to happen. These guys are dangerous, something's going to go down, and that for us as an audience immediately raises the threat level again. And there's a beautiful acting choice from Alan Ritchson. He is entirely still while everyone else is moving around him. The guys circle, everyone else leaves the shower. Alan Ritchson is entirely still, and stillness in this moment means confidence, and we believe it all because they've set it up earlier in the jail cell scene. They've laid the foundation to show us he's got no problem with what's about to happen. And then we get a repeat of the 1, 2, 3 trope. I'm going to give you to the count of 3. In the jail cell scene, Reacher counts 1, 2, and then headbutt. But in this scene, and it's fantastic signposting, he counts to 1, and then he attacks. And that tells us 1, he knows this tactic works, and 2, this is a bigger threat, so he's escalated it more quickly. It takes them and us as an audience by surprise. And then we get into the actual choreography of the fight, and the first 3 or 4 moves are all done in one take, sort of from behind Reacher, which gives us a semi-POV. It immerses us in the action. We feel like we're part of it, so the threat feels big, it feels fast, it feels real, and it feels brutal. But the camera doesn't cut away. There's not too much editing. It's done in a wide shot so that we can get a feel for it. The camera is trusting the action, and that for us makes it feel real. And I want to talk about the sound design a little bit because it's fantastic and again adds to the storytelling of the whole scene. So when Reacher hits them, the impacts are heavy, they're full of bass, they're crunching, you really feel them. But when Reacher gets hit, which doesn't happen a lot, there's less, it's subtle, but there's less bass in those sound effects, which tells you Reacher's blows are really heavy and having an impact. But these guys don't hit as hard as Reacher. They are not as physically threatening as he is. And crucially, Reacher doesn't make any sounds. The only screams we hear are coming from his opponents. So even the sound design is telling you who is in charge here. And throughout the fight, there's some excellent cinematography. I'm going to talk specifically about wide shots and close-ups in a second. Let's look at the moment when the guy's head gets smashed off the sink. The camera cranes down with him, and that movement of the camera emphasizes the impact of the guy's head getting smashed off the sink, which again adds to the severe brutality of what Reacher is doing. They're using the camera along with the choreography to tell the story. Now, wide shots versus close-ups. In my opinion, action should breathe in the wide shots. The wide shots tell the story. Too much close-up, too much shaky cam is not the one for action scenes. There was a period of time with action direction where you couldn't even see what was going on. I'm not going to name names, Jason Bourne, but you couldn't see what was going on in the fight scenes. In this fight scene, they used the wide shots incredibly well, and they cut to close-ups to tell the story when it matters. They use them very sparingly. There are two main occasions. There's one where Reacher sticks his thumb in the guy's eye. Again, it's a storytelling technique. They're telling you Reacher will do whatever it takes, and it's absolutely brutal. So let's zoom in on that bit. The other bit is the bit where he stamps on the guy's ankle. We hear the crunch, and it's doing the same thing. It's showing you he'll do whatever it takes, and it's absolutely brutal. Those are two of the main close-ups that happen in the fight scene. The rest of it is allowed to breathe in the wide shot. And one of the best wide shots in the whole thing for me is at about 30 minutes and 30 seconds, where we see a shot of Reacher in one take taking out two bad guys at the same time, and then behind him in the background is Hubble, again cowering. That tells you everything that you need to know about this story in one shot. I love that. Another excellent example of very specific choices is about halfway through the fight, there is a cutaway to a hallway scene. All of the choices made in this 1 second moment are so specific. The camera whip pans from a speaker to a crowded hallway. Now, there are three elements of this shot that are really important. One is the staging of it, two is the camera movement, and three is the sound design. If the hallway is empty, there's no chaos. If the camera is static instead of it being a whip pan, there's no urgency. And if it's a silent shot instead of having the alarm buzzer, then there's no panic. Every choice is specific and every choice is meaningful. Let's talk about the fight choreography itself. There's a moment in one of the shower cubicles where Reacher's fighting about 3 different guys at once, and he gets briefly restrained and he gets 2 punches to the face, but there's no panic. There's an immediate reaction. He knees the guy in front of him. Reacher throughout the fight has been using his head, his hands, his knees, elbows, feet. Every part of him is a weapon, but it's not flashy Jean-Claude Van Damme martial arts. It's absolutely brutal, essential, impactful, and necessary violence, which tells you it's not about show for Reacher, it's about efficiency. So then at the end of the fight, there's some really nice cinematography. There's that close-up that we talked about where Reacher snaps the guy's leg, which is excellent storytelling, a sparing use of close-ups. But then we cut to a wide shot of Reacher from below, and this is the first clean shot, which means there's no one else in it. Reacher is on his own, and it's looking up at him. This does a couple of things. One, it gives Reacher power. And it also tells us there's no one else in the frame because he's taken them all out. And then finally, we cut to a wide shot from above Reacher looking down, and this is the opposite because it is absolute carnage. All of his opponents are writhing on the floor or unconscious. It is absolute dominance. And then a beautiful moment of character. The first thing, once Reacher has taken everyone out, the first thing he does is check on Hubble. So even though this guy is capable of like dominating an entire gang of prison cons, the first thing he does when he's taken them all out is check on this other guy. So yes, he is capable of this brutal violence, but he's a decent guy. And Alan Ritchson does it so subtly. It's superb acting, great character development. This fight scene isn't about being flashy. Yes, it looks great. Yes, it's entertaining, but every choice is made specifically. The choreography, the cinematography, the sound design, the acting, the dialogue, all of it is done to achieve one thing: to build the character of Reacher. So that is episode 2 of Frame by Frame. Why don't you let me know in the comments anything that I've missed, and let me know what scene you think I should tackle next from Reacher. If you missed my first episode of Frame by Frame, where I break down the first 7 minutes of Reacher and how they build his character, what have you been doing with your life? Click on it now. And until next time, don't drop the soap.